I believe that the reason God created man was for management.
Really? I have never heard it put that way.
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself.
God will never allow growth where there is no management.
Wow, wow, wow.
So instead of praying for things from God, pray for the management ability.
Everything I tell you is true. Everything I open my mouth and I say is correct because heaven directs me on what to say. Eligwe, heaven will tell me and I will tell you it will come to pass in front of your eyes, not behind you. You will see it happening.
God will withhold things from you if you cannot manage them.
When you look at the facts that something around 1 million people perished as a result of the actions of the British and Russian and Nigerian federal governments.
Vis-a-vis what we see in Nigeria, which is truly not, it should not be surprising. Look, what's happening in Nigeria is barbarous. It's horrible. I mean, it's complete madness, yet it's not a priority. The United States unilaterally could do almost anything it needs to do. It would be a long-term effort, but it could be done. And the United States has the capability. All the elements of power, we have those.
So why not?
It's not a priority. That's the problem. We are committed elsewhere in the world. Black West Africa is not a priority.
Anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
No way. When the time comes, it's okay. What stupid country is this? So when it's this, you tell somebody secret? When you like, you tell secret. When you like, it's in public. What stupid country is that? What stupid country is that, I ask you? When you like, you try in secret. When you like, you try in private. They are killing my people. They are killing my people. They are killing they are killing my people. After killing my people, you tell me what to tell in secret? The person is mad. Completely mad. Tell Buhari, that's what I said. That he is mad. He cannot tell me. He cannot tell me. He's a madman. There's a contempt of court proceedings here. Contempt of court. They don't obey court order. They don't obey court order. You're telling me secret trial. Is the person mad?
I, Nnamdi Kanu, will sacrifice anything sacrificable to make sure that Biafra comes.
We hereby declare no election, no 2023 general election in Biafra land. This no election in Biafra land has been activated. We are going to make it a task that must be done by every Biafran. All measures will be put in place to make sure the adequate civil disobedience is implemented to stop the election in Biafra land.
the meaning of discovery, it means to bring to light something that is buried on the ground. If you can accept that, then you know that Biafra is coming. There is nothing man can do about it. It's too late. Way, way too late. The countdown has begun.
Thank you for joining. Today is Tuesday, the 17th day of January 2023, and I want to welcome you from wherever you're joining us from, and from wherever you are. Say welcome, and as you join, please, I want you to also try and invite other people to be part of this, and to make sure that you like the video and then forward it on all your social media platforms. Because today we're going to be discussing deeply into facts that concern our freedom, and to understand how our freedom is certain and sure. And of course, I also want to say to our Oduduwa brothers, to other nations that are trapped in the contraption called Nigeria, that our freedom is not just for us alone, as Mazin Namdekan have always said, and as Master Maneka also has recently, buttressed in extension regarding the recent alliance program that was activated recently. And I want to tell you that this freedom is not just going to be a program that we all would just get our freedom and then we just celebrate, but it's going to be the beginning of a new dispensation for the African nation, and the beginning of a new dispensation for the world. Because most of the things that we are seeing today happening in the world is because the world have not understood the balance of freedom. There's something called the balance of freedom. When you are in America and you think you are free, and Africa, the other side of the world, is not free, then you are not free because there is no balance. When you are in Asia, when you are in Australia and you think you are free and you think you are developing, as much as there is no development at the other side, there's no balance. So the scale of balance is significant, because if you want something to be balanced, then the weight must be even. When there's a center point now holding the pole and a load is shedded here, a load is put on this part of it, and then the other part of it is having a lighter load, you discover that there's no balance. For global balance, you must make Africa become successful, and that is the responsibility of you and I. We must make Africa successful, and unless Africa becomes successful, the world will not see a balance. But success begins from a point, and that's why we're looking at the molecule of success. Biafra is the molecule of success, because as soon as Biafra receives success, it penetrates, it's permeable, it enters into the Africa. Success is permeable, it enters, it can flow in anywhere, as long as there is this access to flow. So that is what we're looking at. So I want to welcome you. Before we go into that narrative in the proper fashion for today, I want to say, please, as you join in, just like this video and send it on all your social media platforms, and get people to like and subscribe to the channel, and then we can move on from there. Today we're going to be looking critically on values and very, very important things that have to do with our understanding of what we're doing. There's a need for us to be technical, and at the same time to be intellectual in what we're doing concerning our freedom, so that the people who are looking at us out there will understand that these people are not just ignorant people who are just coming the way they have thought that IPOB is. They have always thought that IPOB is a group of ignorant people just coming to music. These days they're willing to see that we're tough and we understand what we're doing, and we're certain to get what we are seeking for. And that's why we have come this day to do what we have to do. I want to appreciate you all. I thank you, Noelene. You are the first person who sent a message. Of course, Michael will say I should always talk about the messages. Of course, very quickly too. I'll just rush on the messages. I want to thank you, Kenneth Obilo. You are the second person who has sent a message today.
Appreciate you all. Must hail Biafra. Yes, thank you so much, my people. For you who is watching, who is not yet commented, but you're watching and you're sharing on all your social media platforms, I welcome you all. I say thank you all for joining. And Chiku Kadibia, thank you so much, my brother, for joining. Greetings from my side, bros. Thank you so much, my brother. Greetings here also to you and to all Biafrans. Chidex Aham says good day, good afternoon, Mazi Kelechi. Thank you so much, Chidex. And also I have Domi Okere. Okay, sorry, no election is Zoo, Biafra or nothing. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. He say, thank you so much, my brother Okeke Domi. Thank you. And also from the message from Biafra FE Tech. Greetings, Mazi. Thank you so much. Greetings to you. Also, message from Eze Stephen Nambi. Good afternoon, all. And good afternoon to you. Also, Diana Ogobiade. Thank you for joining. Also, good afternoon, Mazi. God bless all autopilots. God bless you all. God bless you too. I want to welcome you all, please. You can also send your messages. You have questions to ask. And there was a time, I think it was last week, Sunday. Sorry, just 2 days ago, Sunday. John Almeida was asking a particular question. I think he should remind me the question. If you are here, John, please just remind me the question. Maybe I'm going to talk about that today. First, before we go into the analysis proper of what we have to do, standard mathematical calculation, to the cause of our liberation and restoration, freedom of Biafra. Standard mathematical calculation. Yesterday, I was interviewing Prince Ism, and of course, when we were talking along the line, he mentioned, he talked about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being a moderator. And as soon as he said that, something just came to my mind. If he's a moderator, then Simon Ekpa must be something that is synonymous to what he's doing, and then, of course, being an extension. And that should lead to something. So it came to my mind to put it this way. Since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the moderator, then Simon Ekpa is the activator, and then we have the liberation, which becomes the later effect of the whole formation, the completeness of the moderation, the activation, and then liberation, and all of that. These are all noun words. They are words, being an active, a moderate form of activate, or a moderate form, and then having the active form, and then having the liberation, which is the final, destination where we're going. Gerald, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Nice to be here watching live on your show. Great job for you. Great job you are doing, bro. Thank you so much, my brother. And Gerard should be a lady's name. I think it should be a lady's name, Gerard. So I don't know whether it's a lady, because sometimes we see some names here and I say lady, and I say, oh no, I'm a guy. So I want to be sure if Gerard here is a lady or a guy. So thank you. Tomorrow is going to be what we call the Tide of Affairs program, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking about something very significant. But for today, we're going to be looking at this mathematical calculation that we have designed so that the enemies will understand that our freedom is certain, because we have achieved the two standards of balance in the quest for our freedom. I'll be your brother. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sometimes, you can even have a lady and bearing a guy's name. You'll be wondering, you say, oh, thank you, my sister. You say, no, I'm a brother. And now you see. So that clarification is taken and accepted, and of course noted. So thank you so much for getting me notified with that. So next time I will not call you a lady. So thank you. On Saturday we're going to be having fundraising, and I want to tell you, please, this period is very, very important that we engage in fundraising and doing what we have to do, because we're getting closer. And the more we get closer, the more we are needing materials for this. Remember, the cost of getting the freedom is expensive. And that is why, but we are equal to the task, because God gave us everything that we need. God has given us all that is needed to get our freedom. That is why you see the program is going on steadily, and we're achieving success, steadily, because we have been ordained for it, and at the same time we have been given the materials for what we have been ordained for, and then we now begin to see people give out these things in relation to our freedom and in relation to what they have to do. When God ordained that the temple should be built, God brought people all over the nations of the world to help Solomon to build the temple. God helped also David to also gather materials for the sake of the building of the temple. When God is set to do anything, he sets people, or he sends people who would evidently be instrumental to the accomplishment accomplishment of what should be done. So I appreciate you. Gerard, you're watching from Facebook. Thank you so much. Please, on Facebook, you can go to Biafra Global Network page. Just share it now as the broadcast is going on. Just share it. People begin to connect to it from Facebook. Just type on Facebook Biafra Global Network. You'll see the page. It's a page. Just type Biafra Global Network page. You'll see the page, and then you begin to share, on all platforms and all your groups, your pages, and your profile, and all of that. Begin to share, and people will begin to join us to watch, because we have to spread this gospel. I told us we are ambassadors of truth, and for us as ambassadors of truth, we must, let me not use the word pollute. I wanted to say we must pollute the world. Let's not use the word pollute. We must indoctrinate the world with the gospel of truth. And the cost of indoctrination is in the ability to spread this gospel all over the nations of the world. And that's what we have come to do. And of course, if you are on Twitter, just go to Kelechi Ambrose. Once you type Kelechi Ambrose, you will see that it is streaming live on Twitter, and then you can now begin to share it on your Twitter, handle, and other aspects that the way you can share, just put it on your Twitter handle. Other people will share it from there, and then we are spreading. So on Twitter, Kelechi Ambrose, you see it there, and just send it. It moves from there. And of course, on Facebook, you can even see it on Facebook profile, Harry Ambrose, you see it there, streaming live. Also on Facebook, Kelechi, on Facebook also page, Biafra Global Network. My brother, my brother Clement, good to have you here. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Good day, Kelechi and Mazglechi. That's from Barry Eric. Thank you so much, Barry Eric. Thank you guys for joining. Now we want to look at these things critically. Yesterday, Prince made a statement. He said, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a moderator. And today we're going to be looking at the details of who a moderator is. And as you see, the calculation we have given here is that the moderator plus the activator giving us the liberation. We are making it a very standard but simple calculation that anybody, even in the womb, a child in the womb, can understand. A little child does 1 + 1 = 2. They understand 1 + 1, 2, 2 + 2, 4, like that. You understand? So 1 plus this gives you the answer, straightforward. And for us to make them understand that it is not a bogus thing, it is something that is just clear. It's just clear. Thank you so much, sir. And Sir Promise, thank you, Sir P Promise. Thank you so much. All must hail Biafra. Say yes, all must hail Biafra. Now, you see, in that calculation, in that regard, we make it so simple, but it is standard in spite of the simplicity. So when you hear in mathematics, simplify, in this time around, it's not going to be something that makes you quiver, or something that makes you, fear. Those days when you hear simplify, suddenly you begin to wonder, hey, what are they going to say we should simplify again? And then you begin to see some complexities, or some formulas coming up, and then they jumble it in a way and you get confused. This time around, it is so simple, so that the enemies will know where we are going, how we are arriving there. The two personalities who are the icons that are pushing this thing from where it began, from where we have been, and to where we have to go, to our destination. So these two sides of it represents two world access. Now let me explain this to you, what I mean by two world. We have the world of the ancestors, where the source of Biafra comes from. We have the world of the ancestors. Now Mazi Nnamdi Kanu becomes the source of reaching out, dragging forth the information, or bringing forth the information, or dragging out the information from the point of ancestral anointing, or from the spirit of Biafra, from mystery, and brings it into this dispensation, and he begins to become an instrument of moving this thing, or infesting our lives with this. Investing in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is like a vector. When in those days when you hear in biology you have disease vectors. I know some of you remember when you hear disease vectors, that means them carriers of disease. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the carrier of the mandates and the information needed for the mandate to be achievable in our time. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now is called the moderator. And being the moderator, he actually, what does it mean to moderate? It simply means to, let me give you a different perspective on the concept of this moderator thing and moderation thing we're talking about, and all of that. So let me give you from that perspective. Now, as a moderator, we will say that he is one who mediates, and of course, mediates. When you talk about somebody who moderates, that's somebody who mediates. Talking about disputes, and of course, to avoid violence when there is maybe something that is about to become violent, also maybe there is something that is being disputed. That means there's an argument about a particular thing. The person comes in between and begins to settle or begin to mediate, to see that he brings about sanity and solution to this, which means that in the social realm of the restoration of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a moderator. Now let's explain it on how he became a moderator in this regard, talking about the social realm, because now we're talking about sorting out disputes and all of that. Now, over time, we have been seeing the arguments and the problems that have been that have over time been troubling us, and especially in our relationship with the Oduduwa nation, in our relationship with other nations in the contraption Nigeria, because the Fulanis designed a particular concept, because the Fulanis designed a particular program being helped by the British, or the British designed a particular program and used the Fulanis to sell this program. They made us begin to have enmity with the Oduduwa nation. We had this problem. Even if we are in their land, even if we go to other lands, we begin to have problems because they see us as evil, because they see us as opportunists, because we see them as sellouts, we see them as betrayers. We lots of confusion was just in our midst, amongst us, in our midst, and at the same time in our relationship with other nations like the Oduduwa nation and all of that. Now, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came, he came with the spirit of a moderator in the social sphere of his ability to bring back that sanity and that instrument of sanity which the divine actually needs to harmonize the process of giving us freedom. So the first thing that happens is that he begins to make us open our eyes to understand that the program of hatred is a design by Fulani and the British to destroy our relationship so that we can be an island and not have, so that we can be isolated. Let me use that word, isolated. So that we can be isolated and not have a relationship with the Oduduwa people, so that we can form a bond and a cord against the name Nigeria, or against the colonial masters. Because when every nation in the contraption, which are nations of their own, stay in isolation, it is easier, and it is very easy for the colonial masters to still keep them together. Because in their isolation, they don't want to listen to themselves. They don't want to, reason together. They don't want to talk about issues together. They don't want to reason out issues together. They don't want to sit down to look at their problems together. And so they keep thinking about more psychologically. They are angry within themselves about the other nation who is against them, who they think is against them, or who they have some grudges against. And because of that grudge they have against these nations, they begin to suffer this kind of anger and bitterness that emotionally distorts the ability to reason. Now, have you found that when you are angry, have you observed it? Observe it now from now. If you have not observed it, observe it. When you are angry, the first thing that happens is this: you become disconnected. You become disconnected in your ability to reason well. Am I correct? When you are angry, sorry, please. I'm trying to. Okay. Now, when you're angry, sorry about that. So now, when you're angry, you discover that you react before you think. If you don't control it, am I correct? Am I correct? Let somebody respond. Am I correct? let's look at it, because we are now trying to look at the Nigeria template. Now, because of the bitterness we have against the Oduduwa nation have against us, the Middle Belt people, everybody's bitter. They feel, they look at you, you are a suspect. We suspect them, they suspect us. That suspicion is just, two ways and all of that. And because of that, we cannot sit down and look at the situation critically to reason together to understand where our problems come, where our problems are coming from, right? Am I correct? The same way when you're angry, you begin to react. You're beyond your reasoning. You begin to react. Have you seen somebody, during the fighting? Okay, thank you so much. I can see that means we are relating now. We are discussing. I can see you are correct, Mazi Kelechi. Yes, some points. Thank you so much, Gerard. Thank you so much, Sapi, and God bless you, sir. Thank you so much, MC Abakar, and of course I see the message from Mary. Mary, good to have you here. You are blessed with godly wisdom. The good Lord strengthen you daily and grant you more heart desires to restore Biafra nation of Elohim. I say to your prayers. Thank you so much, my dear sister. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for the compliment also. Now, because we are angry with each other, we cannot sit down to reason out what is controlling us to make us angry. We cannot reason together to think of our predicaments because we are angry. So we begin to react based on our anger, and all we do is we fight each other along the line. Now, let me say this. You have seen a situation where somebody stabbed somebody and later begin to regret. I didn't mean it. It was out of anger. You know why? Anger is a stopper of constructive reasoning, if not controlled. Or it distorts your ability to reason well, because when it overwhelms your mind, it pulls your mind to believe in your reaction as very basic at that particular time. And so you think of reacting rather than reasoning. So anger is a very, very dicey issue that if you have not learned to control your mind, you will not have the ability to let your emotion stay under the subjection of your reasoning. And that is one thing that every one of us must begin to. There are some people who can control their anger very well. Now, that is what has affected us and made us stay under Nigeria for a long time. How do they do it? First, they devise the concept of divide and rule. In divide and rule, they make you, in your mind, you see yourself as independent. And you see the other parts that have been cut off from you as them and not you. And so everything that concerns your togetherness becomes very restricted. You think about yourself alone. And what they do is this: they make you now begin to think more of yourself in the arrangements that they have made in that divide and rule process. In the content or in the arrangements they have made, they make you feel that they divided you because these ones are not supposed to be with you. And because of the bitterness, or maybe some of the communal disputes and some of the, the desires for selfish, controlling your own thing and doing your own thing yourself, because of these selfish desires, we begin to capitalize on that emotionally to actually look away from the other people and look at yourself alone and think of yourself alone, what you're going to gain. Now let's come back to the point here. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came in that, in that format, utilize that format of being a mediator or moderator, because a moderator is a mediator. The moderator mediates against violence or against disputes and all of that. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now came, now harmonized us, told the Oduduwa people, the Biafrans are not your problem. Told the Biafrans, Oduduwa people are not your problem. Told every nation there, we have a common enemy. We are not each other's problems. We have to save ourselves. We have to get out of this. They are deceiving us. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu utilized the social tool of moderation. He moderated socially to solve the problem of division that the Fulanis, Britain, has used as a means, or have used as a means of controlling us, controlling our emotion, controlling our thoughts. So socially, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has moderated. Remember, link it now. We're looking at, this is evidence history program. So link it now back to the story of Usman Dan Fodio in 1700s and in the 18th century, the 17th century and all of that. In 1804, 1805 and all of that, even before 1817 something, it's 1780 something, Usman Dan Fodio began a strong campaign using social approach to conquer the Hausa nation. In the midst of the social approach, he was able to sell the narrative of religion, which becomes the dividing factor between the Hausa Muslims and the Fulani Muslims. The Fulani Muslims use social approach to sell this to the peasants of the Hausa nation then, that their leaders were not real, their leaders were wicked, their leaders were evil, their leaders were corrupt, their leaders are not true worshippers of Allah, and all of that. And all of these details were used in a social approach, what is called social revolution. The social revolution was what Usman Dan Fodio used to conquer the people. And before you know it, that division started and began until the Hausa nation became slaves to the Fulani nation. And there's a caliphate, was designed, and Usman Dan Fodio became the first caliph. And from then we have been having caliphates, and the caliphates continuing, and caliphs coming up until the present Sultan of Sokoto, who is the caliph of the Sokoto Caliphate. So you see it. So, but now you discover that what worked for them was that they used, in spite of the fact that it was religion, they needed an instrument to penetrate the people using the concept of religion. But that religion would not have been appropriately, utilized if they had not used a social approach. That is why when Britain came, the first thing they did was to get people who can be subject to them, who will help them sell the concept they have brought into the minds of the people. That is social. So they brought warrant chiefs, they brought other people, they brought people who were who knew the language of the people. And so along the line, they started corrupting the people, making the people weak, using the strategy of controlling their minds and all of that and all of this. And that is how the people fell. Social. You see that word social? That word social is very crucial in the hands of the slave master, because when they penetrate you socially, they can hijack your mind, especially when they have a superior way of penetrating you. That is how they socially divided us, and we got into trouble. Rather than fighting the enemies, we started fighting ourselves. The Oduduwa world, the Oduduwa people, thinking that Biafrans are cheats, Biafrans are wicked, Biafrans are domineering, and all of that. Even within Biafra nation, they created that narrative. Social destruction, social revolution was carried out. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came and restored that, restored social normalcy, restored social healing. We were healed socially. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu became our moderator socially. So he moderated and caused this dispute and caused this violence that would have erupted in our midst to be quelled and destroyed. Today, we are with the Oduduwa people. We are with people all over. We are with people all over. Today, we are having alliance. The alliance program is on because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a moderator. Now, let's look at the other part of the meaning of the word moderator. He's a moderator. We have discovered that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a social moderator. Number one, we have made that clear. So now we have defined it and we have gotten the point. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a social moderator. He was able to moderate and settle the disputes in our midst, to bring the Ijo brothers, Efik brothers, Calabar brothers, and bring the Oduduwa people, and all. He has brought us together. Now we understand. Even the middle belts now understand that we are not their problem, that the Fulanis are their problem. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was able to restore that order in the aspect of social interaction. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a social moderator. We have settled that. Now another point I want to bring here is that, how is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a moderator? On what other aspect is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a moderator? A moderator is one who presides especially in debates. Debates, you see someone who, in debates, you see someone who presides over the debate. Let's use the debate, because debate is something that is common, amongst us. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is one who presides. Now, in debate, you find someone, you find out issues, and people are discussing about issues that are pertinent and concerning the interest of the people, and helping the people to understand and get facts about some certain things. Now, politically, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came in to teach the people the concept of trueness and sovereignty. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu presides over our political ability to be restored and to understand the place of democracy and the place of sovereignty in our freedom. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a political moderator. How did he do this? Over the time, we began to see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu began to open our eyes to the facts of history of people like Nelson Mandela and how they were able to restore their nation, of the fact that we have been subjugated and the need for us to be free. And of course, looking at it, telling us that the Fulanis have this agenda and Britain have that agenda, and we cannot succeed unless we are truly free. And the trueness of our freedom comes in our ability to take it, and all of that. He was able to help us understand these details. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu presides over us politically and became our moderator, moderating political issues to us. He gave us instances. He elaborated on matters that have to do with this political situations in the zoo called Nigeria. He moderated on so many things that have to do with politics. He will bring up the issue. He even made us understand that there is one Jubril, and then from there we have another one who has taken over, whose name is Muhammad something, and all of that. And Jubril is gone, and now we have using the face of Buhari to mislead the people and giving us insight to the caliphate and the cabals controlling, stealing, mortgaging and destroying the fabric of the people's, the nation, the people's interest and the nations that are in the contraption. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu becomes a political moderator. So you see now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being the social moderator, now we have been able to establish Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a political moderator. Now you see, so you must understand these things in the aspect. That is why I'm throwing light in different aspects of it so that you can understand the details here. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now is also a pacifier and one who restrains. Now, let's look at it critically in this regard. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is an emotional moderator in this regard. Now, let me explain this. Along the line of the issues that have been bedeviling us, talking about our relationship, even in the midst of Biafra, you'll discover that most of the time we are always thinking of how we are going to, react to the other part of the nation, or maybe how we're going to react to the people of Oduduwa, and how we're going to, what we need to do. Remember, let me give you this example. In Lagos, you discover how of course, you all know the issues of these Agberos coming to places like Alaba International, killing people, killing, running shops, looting the shops of Biafrans, and all of this. And you see over time this reprisal that is about to happen, this hatred, this bitterness, and the actions, and all of that, and all of these things coming up. People are thinking of how they are going to revenge. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now came to pacify the minds of the people and now restrains us from attacking one another. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu becomes our emotional pacifier, or emotional what do I use there now? Emotional support to restricting us and restraining us from carrying out actions that will destroy us. We were now able to understand where the problem is coming from. So the problem is coming from the politicians. We are the stooges who are the stooges to the Fulanis. But the Fulanis and Britain have been the ones trying to cause this internal wrangling. So that we'll develop that spirit of hatred for one another. But we're pacified. The issues were brought to us openly and explained to us by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, All of these details are coming from a spiritual source, which is the spirit of Biafra, revealing all of these facts to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Because all of these facts are going to make up something that will bring about the liberation, but that is encapsulated in the activation process. We're going to explain the activation process after we are through with the moderating process, which is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So when we talk about the moderator, we're talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, of course, when we go biologically now, looking at a moderator in the sense of biology, you see, you say that a moderator is a substance used to slow down neutrons in nuclear reactor. Now, for instance, most of you have been going with the story of the Ukraine, and Russia fight, and you hear of their nuclear reactor, the biggest in Europe, and being surrounded by Russia and using it as a weapon, and all of that. That nuclear reactor you see there's a substance that slows neutrons in those nuclear reactors. Those of you who are in science, who study science, will understand what I'm saying. Those who don't understand, you can go and browse it and check about what neutrons are, and of course what a nuclear reactor is. Of course, nuclear reactor, is can be used for generating electricity and all of that, but people use it to create bombs and weapons of mass destruction and all of nuclear bombs and all of that, and which of course these days we have nations having nuclear weapons to destroy humanity, and the immediate action and the immediate effect of a nuclear weapon. All of these are things. We're not going to talk about that today, but we want to look at this, using this as an example to help us understand the place of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the operation of our lives and operation of the mandate of freedom. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is now the moderator in the sense, because in the nuclear reactor, on the nuclear reactor, there is this substance that is called the neutron. Now, the substance is the moderator. It moderates the neutrons, because there needs to be a moderation so that the nuclear reactor will be at a stable situation, so that it's either not overheated or and all of that, and then destroyed, or something happens and then it blows up. So that moderator that is there is the substance that slows down the neutrons in that nuclear nuclear reactor. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu became the one in our midst, was able to cause this implosion to be avoided. It's like that scientific explanation. I'm explaining the scientific aspect of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being a moderator in our lives. He now moderates our ability to reason out facts, so that we don't destroy ourselves thinking that the problem is with us, so that we don't destroy ourselves accepting Fulani conquest and relaxing and allowing it to kill us and destroy us and not doing what we're supposed to do, so that we don't sit down and watch ourselves killed. That is why the ESN was created, as a neutron to slow down, as the substance to slow down the neutrons. So ESN now became an obstruction to Fulani destruction. So that action of Fulani to destroy us was curtailed and stopped by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's program, creating the ESN. So the ESN is the substance now, or is that factor that slows down the neutron, which means that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu designed that concept to make sure we don't destroy ourselves. So in the midst of the whole thing, in the midst of the whole facts around us, knowing that we have so many issues around us that would either destroy us or annihilate us, or the plans of the Fulanis under the Nigeria contraption, knowing that being under the Nigeria contraption alone is going to fuel our destruction, is going to fuel our extermination, like the nuclear bomb can do to any people. They throw the nuclear bomb here, everything there dies, including plants, and everything dissolves. The same way also the Fulanis under the concept of Nigeria, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is now the substance that is slowing down. Recently, and all this while now, we are not destroyed and colonized because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have actually slowed down the Fulani's action. Because he needed to slow it down until we get to the point of activating what will completely take them off. We're going to go to that aspect. But we are still looking at the fact of producing this substance that slows down the neutrons that would have been destructive to us. So now we have understood that in that regard. So when it comes to the issue of existence, continuity, and sustenance of our nation, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have done his work as a moderator. Today we are sustained, today we are there, today we are still here, and today we are talking about our freedom because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has made himself the moderator in that regard, sustaining nations, sustaining each nation under the contraption, so that the contraption itself will not destroy the nations. Because the contraption itself is like a nuclear reactor, it's like a weapon of mass destruction. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was able to become the substance that stops the neutron or slows down the neutron to cause that destruction so that we can free ourselves without being destroyed, even if it affects some of us. So that's why they slow down, except we are completely removed from the Nigeria contraption, we would continue to be killed little by little. And that is why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have slowed down the process of destroying us. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been a stopper or a slow down substance to make sure that these neutrons from the poisonous program or from the destructive program of the Fulanese and the Nigeria contraption have not destroyed us. So that is the fact of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now let's go mechanical now, so that we can look at it in the context of how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a moderator, in the context of how we are able to evenly distribute a particular energy. Talking about maybe by in the concept of physics now, or maybe in the concept of biological process. Looking at let's say talk about there's this point. This is something that's in my head. I'm trying to bring it out. I don't know. Talk about metabolism. Something happening in the body. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is like a mechanical arrangement for regulating motion in machine or producing equality of effect. That means a standard equal effect all through the minds of the people. So now we begin to work as in unity to get our freedom. Today, how do we relate that today? Today we have an alliance with some international nations, some international organizations. We have alliance with the fighters, the freedom fighters in Biafra land who are seeking for freedom. We have alliance with Oduduwa nation and freedom fighters and all of that. In the midst of that, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have produced this equality of effect, so that we are on one page now on what we want. Today with Ambazonians, we're on one page. In our alliance, ESN and all other fighters, we are already in alliance, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu became the mechanical arrangement for the regulating of motion. So the motion, the process, the speed is now going in tandem with one another. That means the way we are going now is consistent, is continuous, is persistent, and is not distorted. We are on one page. Everybody is on one page. Today, the Oduduwa people are talking about even that election not what happening. And if we're able to stop the election in Biafra land, it will affect other parts of the zoo. So they are in support of us, not conducting the election. Every armed group in Biafra land today, especially those ones who are pro-Biafra, today we are together, we're working together. So that's equal expectation, equal mindset, equal operation, producing similar effect, same process of effect, and producing the same longing for the same result was caused by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a moderator, moderating mechanically to arrange for regulating motion. It's just like in machine, that's a mechanical arrangement that causes that regulation. That causes a regulating motion in machine, or producing equal effect that causes the effects, to be equal. So that it's just like when you are riding a bicycle, for instance, the motion, that you see, it gives you equal effect, because the tire in front and the tire at the back is giving you the same result. The tire in front is not faster than the tire at the back. If you check a motor vehicle, for instance, the tire in front is not faster than the tire in back at the back. Even if the tires at the front are being driven by that regulation or that motion or that mechanical effect that drives it, the one at the back still goes the same pace. So it produces this equal effect so that the vehicle moves very smoothly at a particular speed with the same effect to destination. That is how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have harmonized the process of achieving the program of Biafra today. Today, we are talking about the same plan. Today, we have 47 days to go, and everybody who is talking about Biafra is counting this number. 7 days. The countdown is equal, is universal. We are all talking about and looking at this number in the same process of counting the effect based on the application of the motion at equal speed, equal pace, and all of that. So you understand this, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have really harmonized this and have become the moderator who have set the pace. Now we have understood this, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have set the pace. So we are going on equal motion. Now let's go to the other side of it. Now, but before we go to the other side of it, we are now, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a moderator. He has been able to moderate every aspect of our being to go towards a particular program, towards a particular cause, towards a particular, focus or target. And that is the target of freedom, the target of restoration, the target of freedom in context of equal expectation. That means what we have in mind to achieve in that regard is the same. We want to get our freedom, we want to succeed, we want to develop, we want to grow, we want to do our things in the line of development. I know that this broadcast today is unusual because we are going very intellectual now. And we're going very, so most people may not like but I know that those who understand the implication of intellectual approach to what you are pursuing, especially in the cause of freedom, is very, very important. So that we begin to make people understand, just like we talk about freedom, we are getting our freedom and all of that, but sometimes we come with some kind of calculations and understanding that will help people understand. And you know that anything that has to do with mathematics, people feel boring, and boring and all of that, feel bored. Not feel boring, sorry, feel bored, sorry. And they feel bored and all of that. And so since my explanation today has to do with some mechanical and of course mathematical calculations and all of that, maybe some people may be bored, but please don't be bored. You need this information, very, very important, so that you can define. It's just like when Uchechi comes and begin to tell you about symbiosis and all of this, using all of these details to try to justify evil. You discover that it doesn't work out, because when she does that, if you go to my initial broadcast last year and all the things she was saying, you discover that there is a particular place where I use those things that she talked about, all those symbiosis and all those organs and tissues and all of that. I use them to teach her what she's supposed to learn. So, which means that you can never use them in the way of evil or in the way of corruption against the truth. We know how to use the real things that are real. How can you use real things to try to explain to try to explain falsehood or lies? It will not balance. It will not be balanced. It will not be balanced. It's not possible. It will be balanced. So that's the truth. Sorry, let me stop this phone. Somebody is trying to call me. Okay, so that's it. So it will be balanced. That's the truth. That's the truth. So we explain this. Anything that is real cannot define lies in fullness. That's the truth. There will always be mistakes somewhere and somewhere, because you are trying to define what is not real. For instance, the trees created by God are real. The chemistry or the process of the tree development and all of that, the biological makeup of the tree is real. So when you want to use it to explain something, if what you are trying to explain is false, there will be a leakage. So there will be a loophole somewhere in your definition, in your lapses. Are you going to talk about the skies, the cosmos, the universe, even humanity? When you try to use falsehood, try to bring out falsehood from things that God have created that are real. For instance, somebody trying to justify same-sex marriage or homosexuality and lesbianism. If you check their argument, you discover that it is so dumb. You begin to wonder, these people are not they are not thinking, they are only being stupid. They are being controlled by force. Check out their argument when they are arguing about, including when I was listening to the president of US talk about same-sex LGBTQ or LGBTQ or GBTQ or whatever they call that nonsense. When you hear them explain this nonsense, you begin to wonder. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That is why real things, when things are real, when you try to corrupt them, there will always be a loophole somewhere that will prove that what you are doing is wrong. That is why whenever they try to use natural things to justify their evil, there's always a loophole. The other time she came up talking about autopilot, before you know it, she doesn't even understand the makeup of autopilot. She talked about autopilot being behind the plane. Autopilot cannot be behind the plane. Autopilot is always in front of the plane. The engine part, that part of the control room of the plane. So the autopilot program is there, and the control itself is there. Everything about it. And the other time she was talking about symbiosis and all. So all of this stuff, I'm just not talking about here today, but I'm trying to bring out some points to make you understand this stuff. So even Mazi Nnamdi Kanu also, let me bring it religiously now, because I think I didn't talk about religious program here, the religious side of it here. When you come to the Presbyterian Church, for instance, there's this something they call synod or synod. They call it synod also. It's like the ecclesiastical committee or all of that prepares of some kind of religious activities for the ministry and all of that. In religiously, those people are actually, they prepare some particular order that is being used in session in the church programs and all of that, or in their ministry programs. I don't always want to say church, because church is the called out one. So we're talking about church, where I look at the ministry having the church. So in their ministry, in the organization of the Presbyterian Church, for instance, they have this synod or synod, it's SYNOD. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is, when you talk about a moderator, the one who presides over a synod in the Anglican Church. So, which means that in the Presbyterian Church, so which means that when in that committee or in that ecclesiastical order of the Anglican of the Presbyterian Church, for instance, you have this one who moderates in their midst, and is the one who coordinates the activities they carry out. In the same way, also, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu presides over Biafra religiously. He has given us teachings about Elohim. He has opened our eyes to understand the culture and the tradition and the truth about our religion and where we are. He has made us understand that we are Jews, and he has made us understand the trace and where our religion comes from, so that we will not take the British design of the scripture or the Bible, so that we'll understand the Jewish program, the Jewish nature of our scripture, and understanding it in that context. So it is no more how it is explained in that regard. So I've explained all aspects of it, politically, religiously, emotionally, and socially, and otherwise. So I've explained all of these details in line with how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a moderator. He's a moderator socially because he has helped us to socialize. Today we are relating with the Oduduwa people. We are believing in one, doing our things together and do what we have to do. He has been able to help us religiously and moderating Biafra religiously. All these things are the anointing that the Spirit gave to him. Remember, I told you that there are two connections, or two worlds. The connection to the place of mystery, bringing this information from the source of mystery and dragging it into this world, and moderating and putting, by moderating means sending it across to us and indoctrinating us in the order of positivity. Indoctrinating us in how these things are important, so that we can be knowledgeable and understand what we are doing, and then we can be activated for the process of getting our freedom. And that brings me to the point of the activator, which is Mazi Samanekpa. So the moderator plus the activator equal to liberation. But now let's talk about the activator, because Samanekpa represents the fullness of activation. Talking about everyone who is working in this whole thing, all of that, and every one of us who are in these things, we are under that activator. That activator who is Samanekpa. It began when, after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been able to moderate on matters socially, moderate on matters emotionally, moderate on matters religiously, moderate on matters culturally, moderate on matters, and politically. He now came to the point where he's going to transfer this program that he has been designed to moderate. After everybody have gotten the details, after everybody have been able to get the facts, after everybody have come to understand the phases, after everybody have become possessed with the information that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is bringing from the realm of the spirit, after everybody have become knowledgeable about the facts that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been designed and programmed to release to us. As soon as that was done, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu brings all of them to one point, because for you to have a central point of control, you need an access point of reference, or an access reference point. Am I making sense, please? I don't know whether people are understanding. Please, if you understand, just make me understand. Send me a message and say, right on. You know, as they do in churches, they say, right on, preach on, right on, pastor. All this nonsense. Okay, it's good anyways. At least it's your morale. Now make me understand. You understand what I'm saying. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu bringing all of these teachings and all of this stuff needed a central point of control and a central point of reference that will bring the programs all together in a format to put it together as a central program for control of the order of activation. Suddenly, as he was praying, the spiritual told him, we are in the autopilot mode. The autopilot became the program design. The autopilot mode was activated immediately and became the activator when he said he is bringing a new dimension to this. So once Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was able to bring up the remote the autopilot remote control, he put it in the hands of one person, Mazi Simon Ekpa. Gave it to him. Because that central point of control, just like he controlled the moderating part, which propelled the activation of all aspects of moderation, but yet being controlled from a central point, which he controls as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now he passes it on and puts it in a remote control programming or a device called the autopilot. That device called autopilot, and that is what we are doing. Yes, my brother Freeman, thank you so much. That's what we're doing. Very correct, brother. Noelin is talking, and I can see some messages coming in. Yes, I can see that you guys are understanding the program. Please, if you don't understand anything I'm saying, just make me understand that you're not understanding, so I know how to get this down. That's the challenge for the oil of wisdom, clarity of it's called thinking analysis that you possess. Thank you so much, Gerald. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the oil of intellectual wisdom and clarity of critical. Okay. Thank you so much, my brother Gerald. Thank you. You are such an amazing, an inspirational, motivational speaker and a great source person for the new nation Biafra. May okay, continue to bless you. I say to your prayers. He said, thank you so much. I appreciate that message. That means you understand, and you guys are understanding me very well. Now that brings us to the central. Now that device that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu put all of this information in is called autopilot device. I want people to understand what the autopilot really means. That is why I'm doing this program, so that people can understand the mathematical calculation. Now, if you go to technology and science, that science actually transfers information, data and all of that into something called the panel, and then they put it and then they cover it and beautify the body and make it look fine, put buttons and all of that. So you now look at it and say, wow, for instance, your remote control in the house today, what you see is the button. Sometimes you don't think about what is inside. You just know that you have a remote control, it's working. So just press open, it's open. You just press pause, it pauses. Just press continue, it continues. But we're not thinking of how did this pause enter, how did this button begin to pause anything I'm pausing without a central point of control that I can see. Simple. It has been programmed on the panel. All the information that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was bringing were all the activities, all the data that are necessary to be programmed on the panel that will make up the autopilot device. So that autopilot device was going to be given to an activator, a person, an activator. Remember, the moderator has already programmed these things on an active panel, but there is need for an activator who controls the device called the autopilot. Now, biologically speaking, indeed, he has opened our eyes, brains, and minds to conscious greatness in truth. Thank you so much, Clement. Yes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have opened our minds and opened our eyes. He opened us, but we needed to utilize the things he opened us onto. That is where the activation point comes. Because when you are full of information, full of facts, full of details, without an expression of those details and facts and those narratives, nobody will understand, and you also will not understand how much you know, or you will not understand the basis of the functionality of what you know. For you to understand the basis of functionality of what you know, you need it activated and put into use. For instance, if you have a remote control, you will not know if it's working effectively unless when you face it towards the television and you press it, or towards the device that you have, and you press a button and it responds. Then you know that the moderation or the point of creation of that device was effective. That is where we talk about the activation. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now was given the autopilot device for control. He becomes the activator. So when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, listen to him, he's bringing a new dimension. After Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have completed the process of imputing every data necessary on the panel of the autopilot device. And when he said it, when he was in the realm of the spirit, he said, we have entered the autopilot mode. Yes, M-O-D-E. The autopilot mode. We have entered the autopilot mode. That mode is the completion of the process imputed on the device. People don't understand these things. That's why we're going mathematical today. That's why I said the standard mathematical program or the standard mathematical calculation that spells out the liberation we're looking for. That is what we're studying. So we are looking mathematically now and how it happens. After the moderation, the programming, the social moderation, the religious moderation, the political moderation, the emotional moderation, the cultural moderation of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he had to bring all of these things together in a device called the autopilot. And somebody must control the autopilot. And that person becomes the activator in the midst of all of that. Now, those buttons you see spells out every program that is on the panel in the autopilot mode, or in that device called the autopilot mode. But someone controls it. So now let's look at the activator. The activator can be defined as any agency bringing reactivation or bringing activation. Any agency bringing activation. That means anything that is designed. When you talk about agency, you're talking about something representing something. When you talk about agency or an agent, if you talk about an agent, it's somebody who stands in between, who is standing representing something. Am I correct? You talk about an agency, it means that a constituted body representing a particular power or a program from somewhere, or interpreting, or by extension carrying out an activity for a particular cause. So just like when we talk about the government agencies, they are there to carry out government programs under the auspices of the program under their control, under their jurisdiction. So the same way also an activator in biology now, it is an agency bringing activation. That means, in the process of what has already been brought together, the chemicals that already have been brought together, all the plans and programs that have already been brought together, it now activates the program or brings an activation by bringing together all of this information and spelling them out actively or in an action format. We are on autopilot, I can assure you, and the precipitous collapse of the zoo. Yes, yes, correct. That's what he said when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that, and all of that. So Everest Emedo says, Devil must bless you. You are doing a marvelous job. Thank you so much. I enjoy it when you speak to me like this. It makes me believe that I'm actually making sense. But when I don't see any message, it makes me feel like, am I really communicating? So it's good that you're sending your messages, please. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Everest. Thank you, Gerald. Yes, you have reminded us of what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said. We are on autopilot. I can assurance becomes the word. Assurance, I can assure you, and the precipitous collapse of the zoo. Inevitable. it will collapse, but because the information and the details, the chemicals needed are already complete. So the formation is complete and the destruction is inevitable. That is why the zoo cannot stand what is coming. It's impossible. There's something that is, it is not possible for the zoo to stand. It's not possible. And I want to tell you that. So now the agency becomes the activator. The agency is not the custodian, it's not the originator of the details, remember. But it has been empowered to carry out the details from the moderator. That is why it's called an agency, bringing activation. So, you see, even when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was putting all of this moderation and all this in the moderating business, Mazi Simon Ekpa, as of 2018, was still talking about one Nigeria. Am I correct? That tells you that it is not about who and what at a particular time. It is about the evident time that you are called and given the mandate to do what you have to do. Moses was busy in Pharaoh's house. He was thinking of freedom, but he was looking at freedom the other way around. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was thinking of freedom in the other way around. Sorry, Mazi Simon Ekpa. There was a time Mazi Nnamdi Kanu too was thinking of freedom the other way around, when he was even protesting on streets for Nigeria to be better. Also, Mazi Simon Ekpa was also protesting of, fighting for freedom the other way around, thinking that sustaining Nigeria was going to be the way to freedom. But until the anointing of trueness of the active power in the moderation or in the moderating effect of what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have already sent into us to infest our lives with, suddenly the spirit entered him. And in 2019, he began seriously. And then he was discovered. The anointing connected Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to him and told him, this is the person who is going to activate this program that you have moderated. John Almeida, thank you so much, John. I appreciate you. You always make sense, my dear. Thank you so much. Yes, we are in autopilot, I can assure you. And what is the code? Yes, so my brother Freeman. So you see it. No matter what you are doing, once your time comes to be discovered and possessed with the concept and the freedom, the power of freedom and the program of freedom, no matter what you are doing, no matter what you believed in, you will be captured by the spiritual. I remember when I was also very zealous, we always have this consciousness, subconsciousness about being free, but we're always looking at the wrong side. Even if we know that this wrong side actually doesn't have what it takes, and everything on ground shows that it's not possible, we still keep looking at it. For instance, no matter how much we have been talking about Nigeria being good, we always see the program, the template, obviously not possible to work, but yet we keep faith in that. Because you know why? When the enemies or the spirit of lies allows you or make you think of something positive in its own pattern of program, you begin to think about getting right from wrong. And that is where you get it wrong. So Moses now decided, he thought he was going to get right from wrong. He decided to kill an Egyptian, and suddenly he got into trouble. And then he was moved to go get the right obtained anointing. That is what happened. Suddenly, the activation power entered into Mazi Simon Ekpa. And the remote control or the device called the autopilot given to him spiritually, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu opened his mouth and said, let Mazi Simon Ekpa take my place until I'm back. Biologically, anyways, when we talk about activator, you look at this, when you look at molecules and all of that, you say, when molecules, a molecule that increases the activity of an enzyme, biologically, when you talk about enzymes, the other day, I don't want to talk about her again, anyways. Mentioning her name is like something like, bringing unnecessary details here. Biologically, anyways, because when we talk about biology, we talk about our body, what has to do, because we understand it better when we come biologically down, in the process of dissecting or transferring this information to make meaning in our lives. And for instance, the facts of anything, every information we get, are always spelled out in our ability to dissect, to comprehend, and to disseminate this information by our actions. Am I correct? So, biologically now speaking, you talk about an activator as a molecule that increases the activity of an enzyme or a protein that increases the production of a gene product in DNA transcription. So you see now, it's you know, when you talk about gene, when you talk about DNA, of course, most of us are used to the word DNA. We talk about DNA. Go and check his DNA. Go and check his. Let's go and carry out whether he's the father of the child, whether he's this and all of that. The totality of a person is spelled out in their DNA, and their DNA can make you understand whose child or from where they come from. Am I correct? So, in the same sense, also, an activator gives you a totality of understanding of the fullness of the fullness of the meaning of the moderation that have been designed to affect that personality or that and the entirety of that body. Oh my God, I pray. I don't want to go to. I pray I'm explaining this thing in a way that we understand. God bless Biafra nation and our leader, Mazi Namdekano and Master Moderator. Thank you, Rich, and all the media team. Good job. Thank you so much. The K. Ugodi Nono. Okay, Ugodi Nobi. The K. Ugodi Nobi. Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Katin. Mabweze, good to have you here. That's Catherine Mabweze. Good to have you here. Appreciate you. You know, I'm looking at your messages to see if that's So Mazi Simon Nepal needed to get this. Now, the only way an action can be carried out is when the fullness of your body chemistry, for instance, let me give you an instance. The only way you can decide to walk from here to another point is because the information comes to your brain, right? It comes to your through to your brain through your mind. Your mind tells you move, walk now, and then your whole body begins to walk. Your legs begin to walk. Your hands begin to move. Everything about you moves to that direction. Am I correct? That is why, in the context of activation, we are looking at it biologically, because the details or the molecules are what increases or what causes the activation, because the activation begins from one point, and that one point sends the message all through the body, and the body responds in that regard. For instance, you hear a gunshot now. The first that comes to your mind is run or hide, right? It comes into your mind, but your leg have to respond for that what is on your mind to be active, or to what is on your mind to come to pass. So your leg runs. Am I correct? So which means that in the sense of activating or activation, the concept of biological explanation is fundamental. Oh my God. Have I not been appearing all this while? Oh my God, I've been out. I've not been appearing. I just discovered that I've not been appearing. Oh my. Please, I'm sorry about that. It's crazy. So now, this becomes very, very, very functional. I've not been appearing, right? Because I just saw on my stuff that my stuff was actually off. My video camera was off. Was I showing, or is it an error? I just pressed it now or something. Please make me understand what really happened. Was I showing? Were you guys seeing me? Oh my. That was an error I made there. I just discovered that it was closed. Sorry about that. So now this, is explained in this context. The activation itself requires a complete response from. You are just seeing me now, right? You have not been seeing me all this while. Oh Lord, have mercy. How come? That means for the past 1 hour, nobody have been seeing me and nobody said anything. Oh Lord, have mercy. Oh God, thank you anyways, at least. Oh my God. Oh my God. I wonder how I was broadcasting without being seen. Oh Lord have mercy. All right, no problems. It's good. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's go on. So now the completeness or the completeness of the complete process of execution. Okay, we can see you now. Okay, the complete process of execution is only at the point of activation, because at the point of activation there's this reaction that goes with it. That's why we're using the biological explanation of these to explain this, because in the context of biological explanation or process of explanation, you actually talk about the fullness of the program itself being executed, in the light of the fact that the enzyme or the molecule of information has been transferred and processed completely at the realm of the mind. Okay, I've been on. Okay, you've been seeing me, right? Oh, okay. So now that makes it complete, and that brings the fullness of it. So that means all this while I've been on, right? You have been seeing me. Okay. Sorry about that. Maybe if I have been off a while. So now, when we talk about liberation in the plan of liberation, we look at the details of moderation. Because in the details of moderation, there must be an evidence program that must be spelled out in the order. Okay, thank you. That must be spelled out in the order of purpose, so that when it is spelled out, just like what the Bible says in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2, I think it's Habakkuk 2 now, that says, write the vision and make it plain, that they may run with it that reads it, right? Am I correct? So the only way we now are activating this action of freedom is because there have been a moderation point, a central moderation point that spells out the details of what is needed for this freedom. And then when it spells it out, we now begin to see how it is being activated by our actions. So activity, activation is a word from the word activity, active. From there you have activity to activation. You activate something. By activation, you carry out activities, because your activities are carried out only by the point of activation. And the activation itself requires the moderation, which means the details or presiding over, to have the information that should be actively carried out. So now, the only way and the only focus of any activity that have to do with the cause of freedom is that it brings out liberation. Now, if you remember, I'm always using the word restoration of Biafra. The reason why we talk about restoration is because we're talking about something that have been stored. I made mention of this yesterday. Something that have been stored, that had been taken away from the store, and then it was stored again. It was restored in 1967. Talking about Biafra now. And then it was again taken away from the store, and now we are bringing it back to store. But this time around, we are bringing it back to store on the basis of completion of the process of activation. That means through the concept of the moderation now that have been laid down to help the activation. Now, this time around, the activation is so strong because the process of moderation have the completeness of the details. Let me give you this instance. During the time of Ojukwu, there was no better understanding of these facts, because there was still this division amongst the Oduduwa people and the Biafra nation. So we couldn't sustain freedom. There was this division within us. There was this division that we have not resolved. There was this knowledge that have not been exposed to us. The knowledge as at that time was restricted because it was all about restructuring. We were just thinking about how we can be one Nigeria, but under having our autonomy and not understanding the fullness of how we can be successful, more successful when we are alone than being with them. There's this something about that you said, this something that it is better being alone than being alone with someone. Because when you are alone with someone, you are actually together and you are being distracted based on the fact that you will not be productive because of that distraction. Being alone with someone. You are with someone, but you are alone. We are with the Fulanese, but we're alone. We are with the other nations, but we're alone. Because you know why? We are fighting for survival. They are there distracting us. Fulanese distracting us. We are having lots of problems around us. All right. Thank you so much, Clement. So that's it. So the mathematical standard now, the calculation here is this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the moderator. Mazi Samanepa is the activator, which of course have to do with every one of us who are part of it, but he being the chief activator. And then it brings us to the point of liberation. Now, the liberation process has begun a long time ago under the autopilot program, or the activation program of the autopilot. Now we have 47 days to go, and in these 47 days there are going to be lots of things that will be coming on. I've been seeing you, Mary Kay. Okay, thank you. Lots of things will be coming on. And I want to tell John, can you remind me the question you were asking the other time? I just remember now, so maybe I'll just chip it in from this point. You know, and you were asking me a particular question on Sunday. I want to remember that question so that I see if I can answer it now. Since I'm just rounding off this now, I still have some little time, so I can do little justice to that. In relation to that, I can link it to that. Okay. Mrs. Zazaram says, I'm at work. Oh yes, ma. I know you're at work. I know you're busy. So definitely you'll always be here. It's part of your busy schedule. I know you'll watch the aspect of it also as soon as we are done. If I get that question from John can remember, just send the question. You know, I'll just say, yes, 47 days from now, we are going to fully get into the activities of what the activation has produced. Now remember, when you activate a nuclear reactor, for instance, it begins to give you what you need. When you activate the positive and the negative side of electricity, or the electric connection, or the connection and all of that, what you get is light. And so the negative side have been activated properly, the positive side have been activated properly. And the positive side have all the information and the details that are needed, that the people needed. We have quelled and we have sorted the issue of social interaction. We have resolved it through the moderation. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have helped us to understand the social implication of getting our freedom. And so we understand the social implication now, which was not there in 1967, and which Ojukwu didn't have the opportunity to give to the people. So it became one of the, lapses in which we were not able to front and do what we have to do very well. Socially, also, of course, religiously, also, we have the fullness of who we are and our source. Based on that, we understand the cultural aspect of it. Culturally, too, we have this information. And then, of course, when it comes to, the political side of it, we understand the implication of freedom and the implication of the political connection to all these facts. And then we talk about emotionally, mentally. That's talking about mentally and emotionally in the process of this fight and all of that. So that is basically, I hope I've been able to explain these things in the way that we understand. If you have a question or you have an increase or you want to contribute, you want to say something, you can come in now. I can allow some calls, and you can call the number +212 707 898 194 +212 707 898 194. Thank you so much, Francis. Good evening, Global. Thank you so much, Francis. I appreciate you. You're doing well. Good. Thank you so much, my brother. You're doing well, big bro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you on that, Francis. Thank you. Promises. Good evening, Matkachi. Good job, brotherly. No election in Biafra land. That's it. We are not going to have any election in Biafra land, and that will not work. And it won't work. Matkachi, you are blessed with God's wisdom. Thank you so much, Mary Kay. I think I've read that before. Thank you. I appreciate you for that compliment. I appreciate you so much. I want to appreciate you guys, for the messages. And let me go down to we must have our freedom from Nigeria. Martins, the same Martin Senior. Yes, we must have our freedom. All which he says in the God may and Elohim lead us to Biafra. You are on point. Thank you so much. I may not have been able to capture all messages, but please pardon me if I don't showcase your message, so that you don't get angry with me that he didn't showcase my message. Please, I'm sorry, not because I'm selective, but I'm just trying to go by the order of what I'm seeing here. Which I have okay, Gerald, I've made that message before, and my people, I greet you all from Ugude and Chukwebuka. Okay, let me see if I can see the message here. Let me see if I can see the message here. There's a message that I've missed. what is the name of his new channel? What is the name of his new channel? Kathy, please, how can we join something on the YouTube this evening? If you go to my Twitter handle, you'll see that I posted it there. I don't know how I'm going to bring it now. I cannot access it from this point now. I don't know how I'm going to do that now to make you guys see, to get you guys the information of the new and stuff. I posted it after the broadcast yesterday of Mazi Samoneka's of his new the YouTube that you can connect, the YouTube channel that you can connect. I think it's channel 1. So I don't know if I can enter it here. I don't know how possible it is for me to enter it here. You just go, I think it's HTTPS. Okay, let me see if I can type it here and see if I can have you guys get it from here. Pardon me, please, as I type. I may not be talking as fast as I'm supposed to talk, because I need to send it here so that people can get it, and then you can be able to connect to Mazi Simon Ekpa this evening, you know, and not be left out. He's going to give some important announcements this evening, very, very important announcement that he said is going to be given this evening, and very, very necessary that we all have to be there. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, to see that I get us to better information, you know, and then we can run with it this evening. Please store it somewhere. Just go there. As soon as you get this information, as I'm typing it, just go there, and also you type, you subscribe to it, and you share it to other people too, to subscribe, to join in it. So I think I'm getting it concluded now, so that you can have it. I think I have it complete now. So I've just posted it now. I think that's it. HTTPS and slash YouTube, and we have the double, of course, and youtube.com slash Simon Ekpa enter Biafra. So Simon, capital S, Ekpa, capital S. That's the E for the S for Simon, capital S. The E for Simon, capital S. The E for enter, capital S. The B for Biafra, capital S. So we have it there now. Mrs. Adazan says no sound. No sound. Anyone hearing me? No sound. Please, can you hear me? Let me know if there's no sound, or it's just please, if let me confirm from somebody else if there's no sound, so that I'll know if we are on or we're not on. Let's confirm. So from today, we are going to go live anywhere we are. There's sound. Okay, there's sound. I think it's from your device, man. So you check out, and if you can log out and log in and get the sound. And so it's okay. All right. Blessing you. Thank you so much. Sorry, my device. There's no sound. Okay, it's your device again. Why do we always reference the Bible in all we do? For the fact, okay, the question from John, which he, okay, let me answer the question from John, the one he asked last time. Is it the same question he asked? Doesn't sound like the same question. Why do we always reference the Bible? Okay, Mary says there's sound. Okay, thank you so much, Trips. Says there's sound. Why do we always reference the Bible in all we do? For the fact that there is no chika, chibuza, or chike in the Bible. How does it relate to us apart from the moral aspect I follow? Now, let me tell you, you don't need to have chika, chike, or anything in the Bible, because the Bible is not written in Igbo language. The Bible is written in Hebrew and Greek language, and the Israelis don't bear chike, chibuzo, and all of that. The Igbo language was designed and constructed by our forefathers. The Igbo language became the language that languages can be developed. I can develop a language now. Do you know that? I can begin to develop a language, put it in sound, write it somewhere, begin to master them over time. And before you know it, I begin to teach my children. And they'll begin to speak it with me. Before you know it, you have developed a language. The Igbo language was devised and developed and now used as a means of communication. Remember, language is communication. So the Hebrew language have been an ancient language that even our forefathers spoke, including Eri. He spoke Hebrew before his children left, or before he left that place, before he left his father God, and began to come down. And then they began to compose the Igbo language and spoke the Igbo language. So the language is not about your name being. If you want to interpret some names in scripture, you will discover that some of them can be Chika. You know, if you want to interpret them to Igbo language, they will sound Chibuzo. God is the way. We have Jehovah what? Jehovah what is God is the way. Or Chike. Jehovah what? Even the names of God can be interpreted to mean one of these names that you're talking about. Jehovah, Chinyere, God gives. It's just like El Shaddai. You know, El Shaddai also is, you can say Chinyere. God gives, God provides. You know, it's the same thing. And so you don't need it to be Chike there to become, to become the fact that the Bible is authentic. It doesn't make the Bible authentic. The Bible is not authentic because you have Igbo language in it. The Bible was written by people who spoke a particular language, receiving inspiration from the Spirit. So they wrote it in the language they spoke. By the time the New Testament was written in Greek, the Greek Christian Empire had already come in, and they had actually colonized or controlled Israel, and basically Greek became one of the languages they were enforcing on the people. So people were communicating in Greek language, including the Romans used the Greek language as source means of communication. Basically, then, they were trying to fade the Hebrew language, but it didn't fade. It couldn't fade. They wanted to control them using their language too. So, but that didn't stop that fact. It will be better Biafra right all Biafrans pass through when Biafra nation is restored. Just it happened in Israel one time. Yes, we are writing. In fact, for me personally, I'm doing my own write-ups. I know other people are doing their own write-ups. So I'm doing my own write-ups. I'm creating a movie out of it. I'm also doing some books out of it, creative stuff out of it. So, okay, I think you are answering my second question. Scroll back for the first. Okay, let me go for the first. I didn't see the first question. Okay, so I've answered the second. Okay, let me go for the first. That's why I said, please, if I didn't read your message, don't be angry because I'm not seeing some messages because so in your conclusion of last time, who brought Christianity and where? Okay, yeah, I think I remember that's the question. Who brought Christianity? Who brought Christianity? Jesus Christ is the founder of Christianity because he's Christ. And the name Christ, Christianity comes out of the name Christ. Christians behaving like Christ. And of course, the anointed one. You know what Christ means. The anointed. And so they said they are behaving like the anointed ones. If you read the book of Acts chapter, is it Acts chapter? I can't remember the chapter now. Anyways, in the book of Acts, anyway, just Google it and check it out. Where were the Christians mentioned? Where were they called Christians first? They were first called Christians in Antioch. Remember, it is not about the name they were called. It is about their character that gave birth to the name. They were called Christians in line with the name of Christ, being a cynosure of being people who believed in Christ and did according to the dictates of Christ. So their actions and their character and all of that brought about the name Christianity, not in a religious fashion, but according to the way of life, or according to their way of life. In these days, Christianity is fashioned in the design of religion. When it first came out, it was fashioned in the design of a lifestyle that tallies with how Christ lived. So they were called Christians because they behaved like Christ. Now, if your question means that who brought it into Africa or into the contraption, or who brought it into Africa, then of course there were missionaries who were coming into Africa. Paul went to Africa too during his time. He went to Gentile nations. Lots of the apostles also were entering. Some of them went to Ethiopia. Philip went to Ethiopia, and people were just going to Africa, different parts of Africa. So the gospel was coming and was moving and was traveling far and wide. And the Portuguese brought it into our land. First they brought it and they started preaching it, and then before the British also now designed it, brought it also, but this time around to corrupt. Even the people who brought it first also, of course, human beings have a way of having their personal interest in whatever they do. When they brought it first, through the Presbyterian Church and all those places, all those stuff, they brought those things because they actually wanted to plant further and spread their own ministries and all of that. But at the same time, the gospel was being preached and circulated, and they're talking about where. Well, it was brought to our land. It was brought to the Oduduwa land. It was brought to nations. There was no first place that had been designed where they first went. the truth about it is that we know that so period and so period, gospel, so people came into so particular place and they brought Christianity, you know, and they came into this other land and they brought Christianity. Every aspect, every people have a record of when these people came into their place and brought Christianity. So Christianity in itself was first in Antioch, where it was first produced. The name itself was first mentioned. Then after that, you know, after the issue of the Antioch program, it now began to spread. So where this gospel was taken, the people were called Christians. And then Christianity became the norm as of then. So, okay, Gerard says, Acts chapter 11, yes, verse 26, in Antioch, yes, in Antioch. So thank you so much, Gerard, for speaking that out for us and bringing it out here. Yes, John says you don't have a super chat. My program is not yet activated for it. Okay, Clement is the one talking about it, talking about super chat. Where Christianity originated? Christianity originated when Christ came and instituted the gospel of freedom. Christianity is the name that came in Antioch. The name itself, Antioch, it originated in Antioch. But there have been the lifestyle of Christ before Antioch, which means the disciples have been living like Christ, living with Christ from 0 AD. They have been living, or let's say 33 AD. They have been living like Christ, 33 AD, yes. They have been living like Christ, following the footsteps of Christ and all of that. But they were called Christians first in Antioch. So it originated from Antioch. So Clem says super chat. You know, this I don't know why. I think the program here is that you must use the YouTube for 1 year before you can activate any other thing. But I'm going to check out for the super chat thing to see if there's a way I can activate it. I'll just go browse it to know the information about super chat to see if I can activate it. Because you know, I know that people would want to just support the super chat, you know, as normal, you know, and it's good. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, so that people will not say, and I've got some money in the drum. But I know that people always want to appreciate when you're doing a good job and all of that. So I don't have the feature for super chat now. I wish I could activate it, you know, because I remember about I think in August last year, somebody also talked about that, you know, and I mentioned, I explained. So this time around again, Clement have talked about it, and of course people have been calling me behind and talking about it. You know, so for now, I'll see how I'll go to the internet and browse about the super chat thing and see if there's a way I can activate it, and then you can have access to it. Of course, to bless you know, the work of our hands and to support what we're doing. You know what we're doing too, we're expending resources, our own personal resources. We're not being paid for it. We're not complaining. It's what we should do. But the super chat is an encouragement, you know, to also. So maybe when I get that down, and I'll let you guys know. I'll check it after now to know if the super chat can be activated. But people can still ask for account details, and you put money into it. You can put money into accounts, of course. Therefore, when we say we are Christians, our character and our way of life must reflect. That is it. It must reflect Christ. You know, that is what Christianity is about. It's not about religion, but it was later converted to religion when the Romans hijacked Christianity. You know, when first after you know, there was this controversy and this in 63 AD when Caesar became the emperor. You know, there was this fight, you know, forcing people to adhere to the Roman cult, the Romans Babylonian cult worship, and until when Constantine now came in 317 AD and began to accept Christianity and took Christianity as his own form of worship, following the order of his mother Helena and his mother own style of Christianity, because then they started having different sects of Christianity where people began to create their own design and do it their own way and having their own congregation and twisting facts to hold people in their own way. And all of this denomination thing began as far back as those times. Now we have it all over everywhere. We have redeemed. Everybody wants to do their own thing. And if you get baptized here, they feel that you have not done it well. You have to come to a place to be baptized. So all these controversies, all these religious and doctrinal errors began with human, you know, programming and human actions into these facts. not originally in the context of Christianity. Christianity itself was not for religious purposes. But of course, you know, human beings, trust human beings, they will always want to corrupt anything and make it look like there is a kind of personal interest in it, which of course to them it's a personal interest. Therefore, when we say we are Christians, our character, our way of life must reflect Christ's. Yes, Katie, thank you so much. Katie, one way that put it straight to the point, it must reflect the love of Christ before freedom and salvation is intertwined. Because freedom and salvation, yes, freedom and salvation is intertwined. You cannot take away freedom from salvation. They are together. And that is the same way, that is the same thing we're doing. That is why you see that you cannot talk about freedom without looking at the freedom of the people, even in the physical, in the world they live in. You can't subjugate people physically and say they are free. It's not possible. So that is why Israel was looking forward to a Messiah. And Jesus is going to come to redeem them because he has saved them, mentally now. He has saved their mind, their soul have been saved. He's going to come the second time to save them physically and become the leader of the nation of Israel. He'll become just like you see in the book of Isaiah chapter 9, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. So the physical and spiritual freedom is sacrosanct. That is why God always tells them, when I scatter you to other lands, I'll bring you back to your land, because you need to be free. Very, very important. In regards to my second question, referencing the Bible in all we do is like in parallel idea with Obi going to speak to his master at Chatham House. In regards to my second question, referencing the Bible in all we do is like in parallel idea with Obi going to. Okay, I now understand the question. Yes, because the concept of our freedom and the concept of our existence and the concept of the program that we are working on for freedom, the concept of our nationhood resides in Scripture and in God. And since the Scripture is inspired through the word and the actions that God, gave to people to carry out, you can now make reference to the Scripture because it is supreme and controls the affairs of humanity. So in this light now, there's no way you can look at your freedom and look at whatever you want to do in life without looking at the source of your control. Just like Obi now is looking at Chatham House as his source of control. So he runs there at any moment, he goes there and gives them, he thanks them every moment, he comes to mention them, he wants to do everything, he talks about Chatham House. Because you know why? That is where his source is. Our source is beyond that. That is why we are seeking for freedom. Our source is beyond Chatham House because we are subjugated if we look up to Chatham House. We are slaves to Britain if we look up to Chatham House, because that is where our slavery and of course of the what do you call it now? The Buckingham Palace. That is where that is the headquarters of our slavery. So if you look up there, just like Obi is looking up there, you're only looking up to your slavery. When you look at Scripture, you are looking at your freedom, because Scripture is a sign of freedom. It represents the fullness of freedom. That's what Scripture represents. So if we want to talk about freedom, true freedom, then we must look at the document that entails the fullness of freedom, and it explains the context of freedom in line with what we are looking for. Freedom to Obi and others is to continue to be slaves. To them, freedom is remaining a slave. But to us, freedom is totality of looking up to something that is higher than us to be free. You can't look up to another human being's construction and design to talk about freedom. But you must look at something that is spiritual and supernatural. Scripture is supernatural. Chatham House is physical and natural. Obi is running to the natural place for his own refuge, which means that you must be under it to continue to eat the crumbs. Where we're looking at the super order of the total, that super order that's even created at Chatham House that Obi is running to. Why must it be so? Why must Obi go to Chatham House? Because he's a slave. He believes in slavery. That is why you see that the politicians in Southeast are always going to Sokoto or to the Caliphate's Kaban. They go to Sokoto whenever they want to do anything. They go to Sokoto because they go there to pull their boxer shots, like Mazen Duncan would say, and have sex with the men, and then have covenant, and then have enough money and support, and then they will now begin to unleash evil on the people. That is it. People always, naturally, people go towards where they believe, where they get their empowerment. It's just like anybody who is worshiping an idol. He goes to his shrine. People naturally want to go to places where they feel has a supernatural control, have an extra control over them. or where they feel that their obeisance should be. So Obi goes there because he is limited in his thinking. He is still a slave. He is restricted in his behavior. He is only a slave, and of course, he's selfish, thinking about himself alone and how he's going to sustain himself and become number one out of everybody, and every other person will be slaves. So that when they come out and they ride cars, you'll be really hailing them and shouting. They want you to be subjugated and be slaves, so that they will look like number one people and be like people who are on top of the game. And then every other person will be bound to them. So he goes to bow to Fulani, and then when he comes out, other people bow to him. That's what they want. They always want to look at like lords among the people. That is why they go to Chatham House. So they go to Chatham House to make us, or to keep us subjugated, and then so that they would continue to be at that point of preference in the eyes of their slave masters, so that when they come, the slaves, the slaves will be bound to them. That's the people who bound to them. That's why we have come to destroy all of those factors. If he likes, let him go to Chatham House as much as he likes. He is only going to go down and down and down. You can see how they are drawing. Tomorrow I'm going to give you explicitly. Today I just wanted to use today to talk about the standard mathematical calculation, so that I don't talk about any other thing. Tomorrow I'm going to go fully into the details of how Soludo and all the stooges of the Fulanis are now products of our program to freedom. And I'll give much details based on what we started yesterday, as we discussed. Slave masters, Ketty says, that is where our slavery began, Buckingham Palace. That's it. Freeman, thank you so much for that. That is where our slavery began, Buckingham Palace. And of course, Chatham House is an extension of Buckingham Palace. So he needs to go there so that he can keep receiving information from Buckingham Palace, and then continue to do what he's doing. But we know what we're going to do. We know what we're doing, and he's only just playing his last card. And I want to tell you that we are winning, and we have won, and we have got it. So please, as you are watching this program, please share on all your social media platforms, and share as we end this program now. Like, subscribe to the channel, and all of that. Why I'm concerned about reference in the Bible is it can build vulnerable people to go the path of Obi. How will it build vulnerable people to go the path of Obi? Because the Bible has nothing to do with Buckingham Palace. It has nothing to do with even the program of Obi, because even the Bible itself contains contrary opinion and views of Obi and Buckingham Palace and Chatham House. The Bible has contrary opinion to everything they're doing. In fact, everything they do is contrary to the scripture. So how does it make vulnerable people? Well, they are vulnerable because they are always seeking. Even Jesus said it, that even that in Matthew chapter 24, he said, if the days are not shortened, even the very elect will be deceived. So how do they deceive the vulnerable people now? They keep them in hunger. They keep them in hunger so that they will be desiring to seek for something to eat. Once you give them what to eat, they are happy. They want to sustain what you are doing by, getting what they eat every day. They want to sustain what you are doing by accepting the fact that you are giving them food every day. And based on the fact that you give them food every day, it helps sustain you, keep you going, and make you happy. Why I'm concerned. So we must be free from money and free from our slave masters. Full stop, Kati. Thank you so much. We must be free. So the Bible cannot make anybody vulnerable to the path of Obi, because even the Bible is contrary to the facts and the details of what Obi and others are doing. The Bible is contrary to their path, to their actions. What is Obi doing that qualifies what is in the Bible? The Bible is against slavery. The Bible is against subjugation. The Bible is against selling the people, betraying the people. The Bible is against working against the people. The Bible is against everything Obi is doing. The Bible is against slavery, especially of God's people. So Obi and the actions of Obi can never influence anybody, and can never be referenced in scripture to make anybody vulnerable to believing in such kinds of things. That's the fact. That's the fact. So I don't know whether you get me, John, because everything the Bible represents is contrary to what Obi is doing. So how can it make vulnerable people? Unless those people who are Nigerians, who cannot reason. Because once you're a Nigerian, you can't reason, and you can't reason it out. There are lots of people who are going the way of Obi today, and Obi is going to Chatham House. Obi is bound to Atiku. Obi is going to Chatham House. Yet, lots of people are following him, but they are too few compared to the loss of people. Because in the midst of all of this, not everybody will still pursue after the truth. It is a natural order. It has never been any time in this life where everybody wants to do the right thing. Even when Moses was leading the people, there were people who were still fighting him, to the point God had to kill all of them to get their children into the promised land. So it's not always going to be that that everybody will follow and toe the line. No, everybody will not toe the line and follow it. But we know that majority will always be on the path of truth, and that's what we stand for. Thank you so much, all. I appreciate you all for watching, for your time. Please share this broadcast on all the social media platforms. You can watch from every corner from Facebook. You can also go and follow our page on Facebook so you can get messages and all of that. You can follow, you can post messages also on that platform. On our page on Facebook, that is Biafra Global Network page on Facebook. You can go there. You can also join me on my platform on Facebook, Harry Ambrose. You can also check me out on YouTube, on Twitter, and let's be friends. Then let's follow one another on Twitter, Kelechi Ambrose. Let's go type Kelechi Ambrose on Twitter, and then let's follow one another. Let's keep circulating the messages on that platform. On Saturday also, I think formally, I discovered that Biafra Writers of Conscience will be having their space on Thursday. I actually wanted to do it on Thursday, but when I saw that they have already fixed their space for Thursday, I decided to do it on Saturday. So Saturday morning, I'm going to be going on space on Twitter, and we're going to talk more on the facts that concerns us and the issues of our freedom. And please join me there on Twitter. Join every one of us who will be there. I want to appreciate you all for being part of this broadcast today. I want to thank you all. Please share, like, and let's keep strong. Tomorrow is going to be special. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about something very critical, and I'm going to go on the narrative of more explanation in the facts that concerns us. So thank you so much all. Thank you, Brookledge. Still need more teaching on this issue. All right, no problems. Let's see how we're going to do that. Maybe between now and Sunday. Maybe on Sunday, since we haven't enough time to talk about religious matters on Sunday, we're going to talk about this on Sunday. I think, John, let's keep it to Sunday so that so it doesn't take us off from the path of what we do. So 47 days more to go. Prepare your guard. Prepare. We have picked up the gauntlets. They have laid the gauntlet. We have picked it up. We are ready to fight them to a standstill. They have brought killings and death to us, but we are ready to deal with them. We tell them that we are more sophisticated, technically, and in all wise, we are more sophisticated than they. We are more than them. We are more than them, and that's the fact. So tomorrow, see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Biafra time. I love you all, Oduduwa people. I love you all, Biafra people. I love you all. Everyone who is working assiduously to make sure that these things go on and we get results. I love you all. Every one of you always joining here on this platform to listen, spending your data, listening, and all of that, spending your time to listen. I love you all. This is an investment. It's not just spending, but investing your time and your data. It's part of the investment, enlightening and getting information. Thank you all, and may Chukwu bless you all. Please share this and like this video. Share it on all the social media platforms, and let the people learn what they have to learn. Be part of it. Keep spreading the gospel. It's in our part. It's in our hands to do. We must do that. Chukwu bless you all, and I love you all, and God bless you real good.